And welcome to another edition of Sabres Spotlight. I am Wade Bates as we go inside Marian University Athletics. And right now we're going to talk ACHA men's hockey and bring in head ACHA hockey coach Chris Frederickson. Coach, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Hey, your squad's kind of in the middle of a long break. You kind of had the first part of the season, and then you got a while yet to before you play, don't you?
Yep, absolutely. They're not a normal hockey schedule right now, but we'll have the guys come in a week and a half earlier than normal, and then we'll kind of get back to practice, get the sweat going, and then end of January we'll play Northern Michigan.
Before we talk about, I guess, the season in general, kind of talk about ACHA men's hockey, and if people aren't maybe familiar with it, explain what it's all about.
Yeah, so ACHA is it's just a preference of what the student athlete or player wants to play. If he wants to play, if he thinks he's good enough to play D3, he's going to play D3. But if he wants to play club hockey or the ACHA hockey, I mean, Marian's always an option. So the ACHA club hockey is starting to grow. A lot of guys want to go play in like the Florida Gulf Coast, or they want to come back to Marian, their hometown, and play. But it's the whole club aspect is they want to play, and they want to play more games.
And you're playing club hockey, ACHA hockey here at Marian. It's not like this at all universities and colleges across the country. The ACHA program here is run almost identically like the NCAA program, isn't it?
Identical. So like the budget, everything is the same. The only thing probably more is more games on our part. So it's all scheduling with me. So if I want to schedule more games, I'm going to schedule more games. Whereas the NCAA guys, they have a restriction on how many games they can play. And
almost all of the players in ACHA hockey come through the junior hockey circuit as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm recruiting junior kids. It's kind of if a high school kid wants to come play, he can try out, but in the aspect you have to realize that a high school kid, 18, 17 years old, might be going against 24-year-old men, So it's one of those things where junior hockey it's a good stepping stone for them to get ready for the next level, and that's what I'm looking at right now as juniors.
Now, this is the second year of the ACHA program at Marian University. It's your first year as the head coach, and it's amazing that it's basically a year and a half that the program has been around, and Marian's one of the premier teams in the country right now, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. We're ranked 8th in the nation right now and 3rd in our region. Like you said, this is our second year as an ACHA program, but when I went to Marian, I graduated in 2014. The coach then, A.J. Aiken, started a JV program. So we've always had this kind of JV program, but we were officially ACHA since last year.
You mentioned you went to Marian. Let's talk about you. It's your first year as the head ACHA head hockey coach. You talk about your background and how you ended up here at Marian.
Yeah, so I'm from North Lake, Wisconsin. It's kind of hours south I went to Arrowhead High School. So I graduated high school in 2007. And then juniors was kind of like a thing where we didn't know what juniors was back in that day. So I went and tried out for a team in Iowa called the Quad City Junior Flames. Made the team there. Unbelievable experience living in Iowa, and also like living with billet families. So my parents would come down every weekend for games. But other than that, I lived with a house family, my billet family. And then after that, my second and third year, juniors, you kind of you age out when you're 20 years old. So my 19 and 20 year, I played in North Carolina. So it was Raleigh for the East Coast Carolina Eagles. Had a great experience, got a lot of playing time. And then I was kind of looking at schools. I wasn't getting recruited, but I always knew about Marian being in Fond du Lac and only an hour away from my hometown. So kind of put in a recruit me thing on the internet, and Jason Wise, the coach then, was there, and he told me that I could have an opportunity to walk on. Had that opportunity, and I walked on. So from 2010 and 2014, I was part of the Marian University Sabres hockey program, and I absolutely loved it. And getting that call from athletic director Jason Bartelt this summer was just almost like a dream job, almost, if you want to say that. And being young, it's a great feeling to come back to my alma mater.
You were a goalie playing hockey all the way through?
Yes, I was. I tried to play goalie.
Now, is that something you always wanted to play goalie? Did somebody just say, "Hey, you're a big guy, you can stop the puck"?
Yeah, I started playing hockey when I was about 5 years old on the pond, like everyone else does, and then kind of like my squirt year when I was probably 5th grade. I had an opportunity to play goalie, played it, and I loved it. I mean, I love the individuality that you have. You don't have to worry about anyone else. You can just worry about yourself. And, of course, it's always the goalie's fault, but, I mean, guys, really, you have to realize that goalie is the last part of defense. So I loved having kind of the game on my shoulders at sometimes, and I just love that feel of having yourself that you have to worry about.
Does being a goalie help you at all as being a head coach? I mean, you see everything in front of you all the time in every game, and you're kind of having to look at what's going on defensively and to the forwards.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've had a lot of coaches in my time, so I mean, seeing drills, systems, all that, I've seen a lot. So probably in my last year junior, and then going into Marian, I started listening to our coaches more with forechecks and breakouts and all that. And I got a more grasp to it. And then when I graduated Marian, I had an opportunity to go coach the JV program at Arrowhead. So that was like my big kind of stepping stone, I guess, to coaching. I loved it. And ever since then, I've always wanted to be a coach.
Can you talk about the first half of the season for your squad and what you've seen from them?
Yep. So right now, we're like I said, we're ranked 8th in the nation, 3rd in our central region. But I mean, the guys that I have now on the team it's a great group of kids and guys. They're one of those guys that I know I can lean on them in game time situations. And for my recruits going next year, I want them to come see this upperclassman to kind of learn from them, because these guys kind of started the program, if you want to say, so they know what to do and they know what to do to win.
What style of hockey do you play when people come and watch you?
We're fast tempo. I mean, we got a group of guys that really move the puck well. We're fast, and we got two goalies that I like to switch up and down, back and forth with games. So I don't have a goalie situation. I know I can put in my senior or my junior, and I know they can do well. And it's just one of those kind of things where I let the guys play, and then I'll coach them.
Can you talk about those two goalies? Who are they?
So I have my senior, Freddie Radbeer. He's from Sweden. He's about 6'4". He's a big boy. And then I have Justin Davidson, who we call Bobs. He's my junior. He didn't play juniors, so he came straight out of Chicago, played high school, and he's good enough to. He didn't really have to go play juniors, so he wanted to get an education, and Marian was his education.
Radbeer looked like he's about 7'4"
oh
on
my
skates.
God, yeah, he's huge. Like when he puts the skates on and his chest protector, his pants, he's a big boy. I mean, he looks like he's 250 pounds, but he's like 190 pounds. Yeah, he's huge.
Can you talk about your defensemen that you have?
Yeah, so I got a core group of guys. I have Paul Kinder and Danny Rowe. Danny's my captain. Paul's my assistant, and they're juniors, and they're just it's a good core of D-man. And then on my second line, I got Michael Bostwick, who's a senior from Baraboo, Wisconsin. Then Miles Giorni, he's a sophomore. He was all-conference freshman team last year. So I got a good D-core with me right now.
How about the forwards, the guys that put the puck in the net?
Yep, forwards, same thing. I mean, I got a good group of freshmen, but also like the seniors and the juniors. I mean, Jake Weldon, who's leading our team in points, he's centerman. He's small. He's like about 5'6", 5'7", but he's scoring goals for us. He knows that he's not a skilled kind of guy, but he's at the right place at the right time.
What's your roster size?
Roster size is a little small right now. I think we got about 18 guys with goalies included. But next year I'm gonna bump it up to about 24, 25 guys.
Is that the ideal roster for a hockey team?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell my guys that I don't want to have guys in the stands. But I want competitiveness in the practices. But yeah, that's usually the right amount of guys you want on your team.
And looking at the roster, it's not. You mentioned not only a North American type of roster, but it's a roster from all across the world. Can I talk about how the recruiting process works for your hockey squad, and where you find players from all over the world?
Yeah. So I during Christmas break I went to Fort Myers to see some teams down there in the USPHL, and then I flew up to Blaine, Minnesota for the NA3HL. And then I flew to Vegas for the Western States Hockey League. And the Western States is all the kids on the West Coast. It was an eye-opening experience. I've always known about these leagues, but just I haven't seen the West. I've heard about the Western States, but I finally saw it, and it's a good group of kids down there, a lot of skilled. But yeah, like you said, I got kids from USA, Canada, Sweden, Russia. So, I mean, there's a lot of junior leagues in North America, and these kids coming from across the sea, they want to get exposed and play that college level.
What type of player fits Marian? Who do you look for when you recruit a hockey player?
It's always student athlete first. So I mean, when I go watch a kid, I'll write his name down and then I'll talk to him after, and it's almost like a job interview. So I'll see if he's making eye contact with me, or if he can keep a conversation going. And then usually, if it's a good convo, I can tell like this this young man is he's got a good head on his shoulders, and that's the kind of kid I want, because then I can mold him into the hockey player or even the student at Marian to where he wants to go in life.
The other way around, would you pitch Marian University to a potential recruit? What do you like about Marian?
So with Marian, I mean, with our ACHA program, club program, we're fully funded. So guys get the same amount of things, like we said before, as an NCAA team. So guys get sticks, pants, gloves, helmets, workout gear, polos. So they get everything. So a lot of club teams can't say that. We also practice like 5 times a week with a good time in the morning, like 7:15 to 8:15. Guys get showered up and then they go to school, and they have the whole day to do whatever they want. And then Fridays, Saturdays is when we play at 7:30 at the Blue Line.
And the Blue Line Family Ice Center, you have your own space as
Yep.
well with the ACHA team, which sometimes the club hockey teams are kind of the redheaded stepchild where you're kind of moving around. Guys have their own locker. They have their own space.
Yep.
We guys get ready for games?
Yep, we have our own locker room. They have their own locker stalls. Next year we'll be adding on to some more stalls, but make it look better. But yeah, there's always that club kind of quotation where, I don't want to play club because it's not competitive. It's competitive, and I've talked to a lot of junior coaches, and they've had exhibition games with club teams, and the club teams win. So the junior coach is like, so how about club now? So the whole ACHA D1, D2, D3 is growing, and it's looking good for the future.
What determines if you're D1, D2, D3? Because you look at like D1s, and some of them are smaller universities and colleges. Some of the D3s are larger universities. What determines what level you play at?
Yeah, so ACHA, like D1 is usually kind of like the bigger schools, like University of Kentucky's a big one, and like Arizona State, they used to be ACHA D1. Now they're NCAA D1. So it's usually the bigger schools where they have the facilities. That's all it comes down to. They have a rink on campus and they got a great workout gym or athletic building. That's what it comes down to. But that's what I kind of want to make the future of Marian athletics for the club team is I want to take that to the next level. I mean, we're winning games right now, and that's great. But long term, I want to become ACHA D1.
Getting back into what we mentioned, you've had a long break. Kind of talk about your schedule that we have coming up.
Yeah, so the guys come back this coming Monday on the 15th, and then we'll start practicing. Just kind of get the legs back, sweat it all out from from Christmas break and New Year's break, and then the week after that we'll have Northern Michigan, who's a conference, and then we'll have Robert Morris at home. So we'll have Northern Michigan at home, Robert Morris at home, and then we go up to St. Mary's. And then after that, we have a week off to get ready for the conference tournament, which is in Beaver Dam right down the road. So it's almost like a home game almost for us. And then we're going to get ready for our regionals in St. Louis.
Exactly. And then what's it going to take from your squad here to make a push for a conference championship? And I know you're a top 10 team. You also have your eyes set on maybe potentially a national championship or deep run in the tournament. What's it going to take?
Absolutely. So, I mean, just keep playing our game. The systems we've been playing all year, we've got this far with that way, so we're just going to keep playing that way. And I know with going to nationals, last year the guys were 1 win away from going to nationals. So, I mean, they have that taste in their mouth where they want to get to that next part of their life.
Chris Frederickson, head coach, ACHA men's hockey. Appreciate you joining us. If people are looking for your information, maybe a potential recruit that thinks maybe they want to play here at Marian, they go to sabreathletics.com. They can just click down to the ACHA men's hockey page, and all your information's there.
Right there, and even like a recruit that they want to fill out a Recruit Me app, there you go. It's right there.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Wade.
You've been watching the Sabre Spotlight here on the Marian Sports Network.